Let's have some light. Okay, so starting with your feet hip width apart. Think about your posture, the shoulders back, give them a little circle. And take the middle fingers in line with the seam of your trousers. Think about pulling your belly button back against the spine, engaging the core. And spread the toes. And just gently shift your weight into the toes and back into the heels. Forward and backward very gently. Just being aware of your balance as you stand at the back and the front of that sway. Coming back to centre so the weight's evenly spread across the feet. I'm going to take it side to side, so shift your weight into one side and then the other. Very slight movement. And again, just be aware of how that feels in your legs, in your feet, in your ankles. And coming back to centre. Let's take the arms up to shoulder height and open out. And down. So you're going to breathe out as you lift up, keeping the core engaged. In as you go out to the side. Out as you come back centre. Just warming up through the shoulders. Just going to let Anne in. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Kim.
So just opening out. Watch your posture. I'm just going to mute Anne. Let's take a little twist side to side. And just be aware of what's happening in your feet. So feel the weight shifting. Feel what's going on in your knees, in your hips. And back to centre. So again, thinking about your posture, I'm going to do a little bit of balance work, coming up onto the toes. I'll turn sideways. I want you to put your hands on your hips so you can feel what's happening with your hips. You want to keep your hips as level as possible, engage the core, and you're just going to drop one foot and lift onto the toes. Lifting as high as is comfortable. So if that's only 1/4 of an inch, then 1/4 of an inch is fine. Yeah. Standing up on the toes now, balance on your toes. And just hold it there for a moment. I'm going to take it to an arm movement. So I'm going to ask you, first of all, to lift one leg and lower. The other leg and lower. First leg you're going to take out to the side. Try and keep the foot pointing forward. Doesn't matter if you touch the floor or if you lift. And stay facing front. You're going to take the leg behind. Try and keep the body as still as possible. Really think about squeezing the bottom. Keep the toe on the ground if you need to. So let's do that again. If you can, opposite arm lifts. If you can't, just go with the leg. If you go out to the side, you can use your arms for balance. Try and keep the body as central as you can. Avoid leaning. You're going to lean slightly, but try and avoid it as much as possible. And then coming forward. And if you need to keep the toes on the ground, do. Really squeeze those bottom muscles. And again, lift. If it's too much, keep one toe on the floor. To the side. Other side. And behind. One last time. This time I want you to hold a little bit longer if you can. And when you need to, come down and change to the other side. Lift and hold if you can. And release. Same with the side movements. Hold that leg up a bit if you can. Watch that you've not twisted the hip. You're just taking the leg straight out to the side. And release. And to the other. And behind. So again, really try and hold the core still. And just float that foot slightly off the floor. Trying to keep the foot on the floor pointing forwards. Lovely. Release. Take it to some basic arm movements now. Bringing the hands in close to the waist. Elbows stay as tight to the waist as you can. Palms up. You're just going to open out to the side. And back in. Check your feet position while you're doing this still. Your feet should still be hip width apart. Your chin should be retracted. You have your core engaged, so you're pulling your belly button back towards the spine. Feet are pointing forwards. With the breath, nice and slowly. Let's try a few with the hands up the other way. So remember, this movement is coming from the shoulders. So rotation of the shoulders rather than coming from the elbows. Bring the hands back. Let's go into the Cleopatra. So we take the elbows out and reach out as far as is comfortable. So fine if you're coming forward rather than to the side, just do what you can. As you come back in, you're going to flip the hands the other way. So palms down. Back in. And flip. Just one more. This is sort of things worth doing in the mirror. I've noticed today that my arms are out of balance again. Feel a lot of tension in one shoulder. And I'm, whoa. So you're really, really worth watching yourself do this sort of exercise or anything where you're balancing. And release. Circle the shoulders again, give them a little bit of loosening. Okay, I'm going to do what I call the toy soldier exercise next, where we start in this position. Now, what I want to make sure you do, palms are facing inwards. Now, it isn't here and here. We're trying to take the arm down as far as it will and up. Now, I'm actually leaning against the wall when I'm doing that, so you might want to do one arm at a time. Put the hand on the shoulder to feel that you're not moving from the shoulder from further up. Take that movement to get a rotation in that shoulder. Lovely clicks coming out of there today. And just as far as is comfortable for you. And release. Let's take it to the other side. So again, putting my hand on the shoulder to feel what's going on. I'm actually going to take my hand away because my microphone is there. Otherwise, I'm going to rustle. Just one more. We'll shake the arms out. We'll do the VW exercise. Stand back so you can see me. So starting with the arms in a big V. Now I'm standing right back against the wall here, partly so you can see me, but also so I can feel what's going on. You're going to pull the elbows down into a W. And as you do it, think of squeezing the shoulder blades together and sliding them down the back. So taking it wide and sliding it down the back. So think of pointing your hands towards the corners, top corners of the room, and then bringing it back in and squeezing the shoulder blades together. Last one. Shake it out, give it a circle, whatever feels good for you. And we're going to do a little bit of dynamic movement. So this time you're going to take your feet together. So a little bit of instability in the balance there. And we're going to take one foot out to the side, rock, and back together. Take it to the other side. So as you do this, have a quick peek down at your feet. Are they pointing forward? If your toes are turning out, try and lead with the heel. Well done. In a moment, I'm going to complicate it slightly, and I'm going to make you move a bit further. This is beginning to work these muscles in the side, the back of the thigh, top of the buttocks. So that was fairly easy. This is when it starts getting a bit harder. We're going to step together, and then do that little rock. Step together, and do that little rock. Again, step together and rock. Again, feet are pointing forward, core engaged. When you start doing it this way, you really start to feel those muscles start to work. Lovely. Okay. Take the legs a little bit wider. Do a figure of 8 hip circle. Just loosen through the hips. And we're going to roll down onto the floor. I want you to do 4 Pilates roll downs. Start off very small and eventually coming all the way down to the floor. And we're going to sit facing along the mat. Chin to chest, 1 vertebra at a time as you come down. Breathing out as you go down. On the 4th time, joining me on the floor. If you need a block or cushion, now's time to grab it and keep it close by. We don't need it just yet. Feet flat on the floor. Arms out in front. So all I'm going to get you to do here is we're going to roll part way back until you feel it in your tummy. Really watch what's going on with your knees here, so that they're not wobbling around, they're not dropped together. Feet are hip width apart. If you need to, you can have your hands on your thighs and slide down. If that's still too much, you can grab underneath your thighs or hold it here. Now, if you want to make it a little harder, just lift one arm as you go back. If you're feeling really brave, you can lift 2, but I'm going to stick with the 1. So you're breathing out on effort, so you breathe out as you go down. If you've had enough, don't forget you rest. You do as many as you can. Next time you do the workout, you can try and do a few more. So whichever version feels good for you. Okay, and rest. I'm going to get you to come down onto your elbows now. And we're going to do a slightly different version of the single leg stretch. So make sure you're comfortable and you're tilted back on your pelvis so that you can bring your knees into your chest. Resting on our elbows, and you're going to reach the leg out and back in. So stretching out and back in. So it's a bit of a bicycle movement. So you can either stick with a single leg, or if you're a little more comfortable, you can alternate them a bit faster. I'm going to stick with a single leg. It's a little bit easier. If it's too much, take the leg a bit higher. Really working your tummy, your abdominal muscles here. And rest. Do something a bit gentler now. Coming down onto the floor. If you need a block, make sure it's very small, or a towel under your head. Ideally, just straight down on your mat. Try and open out the shoulder blades onto the mat. Watch that your pelvis is lined up. So remember, you can do your diamond, hands on the hip, diamond shape, and have a look and see, are you tilted up? Are you tilted down? Is it even left to right? Neutral curve, so you've got a little bit of a gap under your lower back. Rest the arms by the side. And let's go with a leg slide. So nice and simple, just sliding one foot away along the mat. Breathing in as you come back, so moving with the breath. Just the legs for now. And as you're doing this, be really aware of what's going on in your lower back. Are you managing to hold that still? Are your abdominals engaged? Seems like quite a simple exercise, but it's surprising how much movement there can be in other parts of the body when you're doing this exercise. The other leg should be as still as possible. Okay, I'm going to change it slightly. Taking both arms straight up in the air, relax the shoulders, and you're going to take opposite arm away. Don't worry too much if you've got the wrong arm. Now here, when you're doing this, as well as trying to keep the lower body stable, you want to try and avoid lifting the chest. So the movement is purely in the arms and in the legs. Just take the arm as far as is comfortable. One more each side. Coming back to center, bringing the arms down. If you need to, you can give yourself a little bit of a rock, hug the knees into the chest, and we'll move on quite quickly. That wasn't too intense, so it should be fairly easy. Again, check that your pelvis is level. So again, that diamond, hands on the hip bones, coming in, and check you've not got your back tilted into the mat or the other way. Feet are hip width apart, they're pointing forwards. If you need to have a look, have a look. Feet, knees are hip width apart as well. And what I want you to do now is put the fingers on those bony parts on the front of your hips. Feel that, and you're keeping those pointing towards the ceiling like a pair of headlights. And I want you to drop one leg towards the floor. So coming onto the outside of the foot, letting that knee drop down, and you're trying to keep the other leg as still as possible. So this is for pelvic stability as well as mobility in the hip. Doesn't matter how far down you go. Just take it as far as is comfortable and back up. Down to the side. Okay, I want to try one a little bit harder. Now, again, you're trying for the pelvic stability, so if you can't do it, go back to this same exercise. Just listen to your body, see what's going on. want you to bring your knees in one at a time to tabletop. So the knees are above the hips, the weight of the legs is above the body. If you can still get your hands on those top of the hips, then please do. And you're going to drop the knee down to the side. Now, if you feel that you're dropping like this, go back to the previous version. But this is a little bit harder. You really need to keep those core muscles engaged in order to do the slightly harder version. I'm not going to get you to do many of those today. I've had a bit of a break from workouts at the moment, so it's a good idea to take it gently for a moment. Okay, feet down, one at a time to the mat. Feet and knees together. Take the arms out the way, and you're going to drop both knees down. First of all, just take them to one side and relax, keeping the other shoulder, opposite shoulder, on the mat, so both shoulders stay down, and get that stretch through the body. Coming back to center. And down to the other side. So with the breath, breathing out as you go down. And as you come up. Just once more each side, and then we'll move on. And back. Okay, bringing the knees into the chest. And we're going to go back to the single leg stretch, but this time from the lying position. So with a single leg stretch, you're taking one leg away, and I want to do a slight rotation. So you're going to hug one knee in and take the other hand towards the ankle. If you can, lift the head off the shoulders and head off the ground. If you can't, keep that head down. Breathe out as you go away, in as you come back. If that's too much, take the leg higher, but we're looking for probably 45 degrees if you can. In your own time with your own breath. The slower you do it, the harder it is. If you need to take the head down, please do. Again, listen to your body. If it's starting to ache in your head, in your neck, then just relax it. And then when you've had enough, hug the knees in. Feet down, one at a time to the mat. And again, we're going to work on the upper body. So I want you to take the hands towards the ceiling, palms facing. And you're going to keep the arms straight. And I want you to think about lifting the shoulder away from the mat and then pushing it back down to the mat. And then alternate to the other side. Again, about getting some mobility in the shoulder area. And rest. Okay, grabbing that block, we're going to do some side lying exercises. So it doesn't matter which side you start on, as long as you can see me. Keep the block just out of the way for the time being. And I want you to start off lining yourself up in a straight line with the mat and coming all the way down and adjusting your head and hand accordingly. If I'm sticking a towel underneath my neck, I've got a straight arm. You can use your hand under your head if that's more comfortable. Now, first thing I want you to think about is, are your ankles in alignment? Very easy for your waist to drop to the floor. So straighten your spine, get the feet in alignment. Now, we're going to do some leg lifts. And I want you to keep that foot parallel. If you're finding your balance isn't very good, just bend that bottom knee slightly, bring the foot back so that you can lift and lower. And join me when you're ready. So watch that you're not twisting from the hip. So you're slightly leading with the heel. The foot should be parallel with the floor. We're not trying to twist the toes to the sky at the moment. And I like to take my weight into my hand in front. So by putting your arm out at sort of 90-degree angle, you can get a nice bit of balance. Now I'm going to ask you to bring your knee up towards that elbow. Doesn't have to touch, just straighten down. Bring the knee up towards the elbow and push straight. And away. So if you've got both legs straight, the balance is a lot harder, so you really need to work the core. Bending that bottom leg just helps with the stability. One more. And release. Okay, bringing both knees forward to 90 degrees. Bring your block. You want your head at the front of the block. We're going to do the arm opening exercise. So head's at the front of the block so you can roll back. Knees are right forward. Shins in line with the front of your mat. 90 degrees. So if you're sitting in a chair, really, bring those feet forward. Fingertips touching as you open up and take it back. Now, I'm having to bend my hand slightly because of the wall behind me. But try and keep your arms straight. Think about stretching across the chest. You're getting some rotation in the spine. Stretching through the side of the body. It's not about touching the floor behind, just about getting a stretch through the chest and spine. Okay, and rest. Coming back to the legs, I want you to take the feet back in alignment with your bottom. And I'm going to take the block out of the way, but make yourself comfortable. So I like, again, to roll up a towel, stick it under my neck, keep my neck comfortable. And we're going to start with feet on the ground and do the clam or oyster exercise. So feet, hips and shoulders are aligned. Watch that you're not jackknife forward. Keep nice and open. Lift and lower. And I'm going to do some slightly more advanced versions. I'm going to move through. So if you want to stay with the previous version, please do. I'm going to now float the feet. I'm going to do about 5 in this position. Be really aware that you're not allowing your hips to drop back here. Anytime you need to rest, you can either join back in or wait for the next exercise. And those of you who've got any puff left, we're going to do some with a leg extension. So you lift, you softly kick the leg forward, so keep the knee soft, touch the feet together and take that knee down. Extend, back in and out. And just one more. Down, rest the feet. Take that leg forward, give it a bit of a stretch. Rub it if you need to. Okay. I'm going to get you to roll onto your front. Just watch me first very quickly. We're going to do the starfish exercise. Just have a quick watch of what I'm doing. You're going to start with your feet and your arms about the width of your mat. Lift opposite arm and leg. Head can come too if you wish. Think of lifting away rather than too high. So it's lifting away rather than high. Try and pull your belly button away from the mat. And bringing the hands under the shoulders and coming back into a stretch. And then up onto all fours. And let's do cat and cow. So just let the back drop. Arch up. And arch up. Okay. I want you to take your hands forward about a hand's length and take your weight into your arms. So a nice straight line from the head through to the knees and a low plank. Anyone who feels strong enough, if you want to, you can tuck your toes and come into full plank, or you can stay in that knee position. If it hurts the wrists, you can come onto your fists, or you can use a towel or block under your wrists, under the sort of top part of your hands, just to take the pressure off. And rest again. We can turn around to the other side, so bring your towels, blocks, and so forth with you, so you have them ready. And you're going to line yourself up in a nice straight line along the mat. If you need to bend the hand under, then do. So again, think about what's going on with your waist and your ankles. Is your ankle dropped back? Extend the top ankle, level up the hips, take the weight forward on your hands, and if you need to, bend the bottom leg, foot's parallel as we lift and lower. Just lift and lower. Lift and lower. So here, very easy to turn the toes towards the ceiling. So just watch that you're slightly leading with the heel, or that you feel like you're leading with the heel, so that we're working the muscles that I'm aiming for today. And let's change that slightly, bringing the knee up towards the elbow and back straight. Again, that foot stays flat. Think of pushing away, holding it on the core, trying to keep that middle of your spine and your trunk, the whole of your trunk stationary. It is going to move, of course, but we're just trying to keep it as still as we can. Just do that movement and rest. When you've had enough, bring that leg forward, give it a rub, give it a pat, whatever you need to do, just to give it a release. And we're going to come forward, bringing the knees forward. Bring your block for the arm opening exercise. I'm going to slide forward on my mat. Head at the front of the block. Remember, you roll your head back on the block as you go. My hands are going to disappear off the front this time. Fingertips touching at the front. Remember, knees, as if you're sitting in a chair. Knees are at the front of your mat, feet are at the front of your mat. And you're going to open back across the chest. And coming back. Watch those fingertips touch at the front. Keep those knees locked together. Now, if anyone has osteoporosis, you need to be a little bit cautious here. And I would suggest that maybe you take the movement a bit less and possibly allow the knees to come away. But for everyone else, knees are together. Keep it slow and controlled. Opening up. One more. Okay, so moving the block out the way, you might want your towel again under your neck. We're going to do the clam or oyster. So remember, it's if you were lying against a wall or a settee, your shoulders, your bottom and your feet are in alignment, knees forward, weight in your hands. Watch that you're not lying, letting yourself slip back, and just lift lower. So we can do 5 of each version if you can. Remember, you stick with whichever version feels good for you. I put my hand on my hips. I can feel that my hip isn't dropping back when I do this. It doesn't have to be a big movement. And lifting the feet. Same movement. And that's 5. For the last one, you lift the knee, gentle kick out, keeping the knee soft, feet back together, knees back together, lift the knee, gentle kick forward, feet together, knees together. I think we'll stick to 4 of this one if you can make it. If not, just rest and wait for the next exercise. And rest. Okay. You're not going to need those again, so you can push them out of the way. I'm going to get you to come up to sitting. Again, remember feet hip width apart. Sitting nice and tall. Taking the hands behind you. Now, actually, if you find your wrists are tight, you might want your block or towel under your wrists, or you can come onto your fist. But I'm going to ask you to take your weight back into your arms behind you. And if you can, take your bottom off the ground. Now, if you can't, that's fine. Just lean the weight back until you feel it in the back of your arms and your triceps. We're going to hold this here. Now, this is up to you. You need to keep your hips as stable as possible. If you can, slide one foot away without the hips dropping, then do. I'm keeping my foot on the floor. I'm not lifting it. I'm just sliding that foot away on the mat. So we're adding a bit of pelvis stability work as well, but I'm really trying to get some work in the arms. Again, remember, if you've had enough, then rest. It's just getting those arms, doing some static strength work. Let's rest. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of stretch of the arms so that I don't forget us doing it at the end. Taking, doesn't matter which arm, one arm across onto the other shoulder, let it slide as you push. Or you can take it out straight. But it's at that height, so your hands at shoulder height. Get a stretch through that shoulder. And doing the same again on the other side. Just give me a little push so you feel the stretch through the shoulder area. Okay, I'm going to come back down into lying on the mat. We're going to do some of the dead bug type exercises, so the more tummy work. Lie back down, open up through the shoulders, let the shoulders and arms relax onto the mat, feet hip width apart, so remember toes together, heels out, heels out if you need to. And we're going to start by first of all checking that we have our pelvis in neutral, that we've got a little bit of gap under the back, hands onto those bony points on the top of your hips, and I want you to just fold the leg in, so it's knee folds in and take it back down. Breathing out as you lift. All the movement comes from the hip, the knee isn't moving here. And just be aware of any movement in your back, any movement in your pelvis. And next time you come up, I want you to bring one leg up, engage your core, bring up the second leg. Take the first leg down. Take the second leg down. So we're going to start with the opposite leg. If you started right, let's go left. Lift. Really engage that core. And lift. Taking it down. Quite hard to do that without the abdominals, the tummy muscles popping up. Again, go right. Right. Right down. Left down. Left lift. 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 And left down. Left down. From here, we're going to go into leg circles. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do this time is bring your right knee in so that the weight of the knee is above your hip. Let that foot drop down, and we're going to just do circles with the knee. And what I want you to concentrate on here is what's happening to the other leg, what's happening to your pelvis. It's going to loosen through that hip area. But you're trying to really control it. Keep it as small as you need to. Just be aware of your pelvis on the floor. Now, this can be done with the other leg straight, but if you do, you're not going to be really controlling it with the abdominals. I want you to really use your abdominals by keeping that second leg bent. Change direction if you haven't already. And rest that foot down. Take to the other knee. So again, the weight comes over the body to start with. Foot's drop down and just circle. First in one direction. And you're really concentrating on that other leg. I just registered mine was wobbling. So do concentrate. You need to keep those core muscles engaged, but keep breathing throughout. And change direction. And really be aware of what's going on in your pelvis and with your lower back. And rest. Bring the knees into the chest. Now, I know a lot of you hate this exercise, and one that you shouldn't do if you've got osteoporosis or concern that you might have, because it's quite bad on the back, is roll like a ball. You don't have to do this exercise, but if you'd like to join me, please do. I'm not going to do many, and then we're going to come up to sitting again. And for the next exercise, I'm going to start here, but you probably want to turn to face me. I will turn eventually, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Feet flat on the floor again, and we're going to reach back and touch behind and come forward. So reaching back, coming forward. This again is a twisting motion, so anyone with osteoporosis needs to keep it a little bit smaller. The further back you go, the harder you're going to work your tummy. But we're going to work in the side, the oblique abdominals, the oblique muscles. Side of the tummy. And as slow or as fast as you need to. The slower you do it, the harder it is. I'm keeping this a little bit faster today. We've done quite a bit for our tummies. Last one. Make sure you even it up on both sides. We want to try and keep the body as in balance as possible. And rest. Okay. From there, I want you to take your feet out to the side. So I've got one foot against the knee, the other foot out to the side. And you're going to take the arm up by the ear. It doesn't matter which side you're going because we're going to do both sides. But the knee that's on the top is the side you want the hand on the floor of. Arm up by the ear. Watch it's not forward. Reach up and stretch over. reaching up towards the corner of the ceiling, and then back. Changing sides. You're not going to be able to go quite as far here, but take the arm back by the ear or as close as you can. Think of reaching up and then stretching over, getting a stretch all the way down through the back and through the side of the waist. And release. Switch the legs round to the other direction. So again, arm up by the side, and reaching over. I'm leaning down into the opposite arm. Beautiful. And to the other side, taking it up and over. Release. Let's take the legs wide and let us stretch through the inner thigh. So this is a place where you might, I said you didn't need your blocks, you might want your block or cushion to sit on. I want you to sit forward on your sit bone. So think of walking back a little way and just feel the stretch. We're not going to do anything other than sit and stretch here. So sitting as tall as you can, and think of folding from the waist. So you're not going to drop the upper body down, you're just going to lean slightly forward. Now for some of you, you might be actually leaning back and feeling a stretch, so you're not going to come forward. But just keep those shoulders and the head relaxed. Okay. And now bringing those feet together. Maybe keep the feet hip widths apart and sit tall again, exactly the same thing. So if you're leaning slightly back, that's fine, but sit tall and then think of folding from the waist. So keeping that head up, that chin retracted, upper body as relaxed as possible, and feel the stretch through the knees. Now, if you really are leaning back, you can give a little bend in the knees, but I want you to feel that stretch in the back of the knees. Okay. Keeping the right leg straight, bringing the left knee in, and taking that foot over. So the foot that you've taken over, you can have the arm to hug in. Other arm comes behind. Don't worry too much if you've got it the opposite way. We're going to go both directions. But hug that. You want to be hugging that knee in at some point so that you really get the stretch through the hip. And looking back gently over the shoulder. And release. Taking the arm the other side. Elbow comes down on the inside and rotate to the other direction. And release, coming back center. Gently let up the knee in to start with and take it over. Opposite arm hugs in. Taking this arm behind. You're trying to keep that foot flat on the floor. And release, taking the arm to the inside of the knee. Watch again that your foot's not coming away, just using that as a gentle pressure. I let my hand drop down to my ankle and just gently turn and look over the shoulder. Now for the next stretch, put the soles of the feet together. If you really don't like this exercise, then please go back into that wide angle stretch. Opening out through the inner thighs. And relax. Coming back onto your back, Our last few exercises. Feet are hip width apart, but this time I want you to bring your feet close to your bottom. I want you to take your hands onto your pelvis and take the elbows off the floor, and you're going to lift the hips up off the ground as high as is comfortable for you, keeping those feet hip width apart. And I'm going to ask you to take the arms above the head, float the arms up, bring the arms back, breathing out as the arms go above the head, in as they come back down. Breathing out. If it gets too much, please feel you can roll back down. Okay, and release back down. You leave the arms on the floor now. I want you to roll it one vertebra at a time and really squeeze those bottom muscles and release. Just going to squeeze the buttocks and release. Squeeze and release. So just a tiny pulse and rest back down. Okay, from there. If you need a strap or band, this is the time to grab it. If not, you can grab hold of your leggings. Bring in the right leg into the chest and hug that knee in to start with. And you're going to push the ankle towards the sky. So you're holding that knee to your chest. If you want to, you can grab hold of the foot, feeling the stretch in the back of the calf. And then I'm going to get you to straighten that leg up towards the sky. And again, I want you to be feeling that stretch in the back of the knee. So as close as is comfortable, you can be using a strap, you can grab hold of your tracky bottoms, or if you need to, if you can't reach otherwise, slightly bend the knee and just extend the foot up until you feel the stretch in the back of the leg, in the hamstring and across the back of the knee. But we are trying, if possible, to keep that leg as straight as possible. Okay, figure 4 now. You take that ankle onto the other knee, open out, let that knee drop away. And you can either stay in that position, or if you're happy to, you can extend the stretch by coming up onto the elbows or all the way up. Most people are going to either stay on the floor or come up onto your elbows. Hold that for a moment to really give a nice stretch through the buttock area. Bringing the knee down so the knees are close together. Roll back down again if you're up. And grab hold of, if you can, grab hold of the back knee or the thigh. And you're going to feel that stretch further down the leg. So it's a part way down the leg. And release. I'm going to go with the other side. So bringing the left leg in, hug underneath and push that heel towards the sky. And again, if you want to hold the foot, you can. Getting a stretch through the calf muscle here. If you can't grab the foot, don't worry, just flex it to get that stretch. And then let's extend it into a straight leg if you can. So again, holding, I like to hold either side of my leg so I'm not pulling on the hamstring on the back of the thigh. If you need a strap again, you can use your strap or bend the knee slightly, but stretch up so that you get that stretch. Okay, taking that ankle onto the other knee, open out to the side, and again you can stay there, come up onto your elbows or all the way up. Knee drop out to the side, feeling the stretch inside of the buttocks. And then we're going to extend the stretch down the leg by taking the knees in close, rolling back down on the mat and hugging in. So from there, taking the soles of the feet together. Now again, if you really don't like doing this one, you can take the legs wide and just support them. But if you can, get the soles of the feet together and hold the feet and open out. So very similar to the sitting butterfly stretch we did, just opening out through the hip area. Or here. And hold that one for a moment to really stretch through the groin area. And release, taking the legs down to the mat one at a time. Coming back up to sitting, taking the arms behind you, clasp the hands together. You can do fingers, I prefer one hand on top of the other, and squeeze the shoulder blades together and then lift slightly with the arms, stretch across the chest. Try not to lift the chest in the air. I want to stretch across the chest though. And return to face you now and release. Take the shoulders back. So well done everybody, thank you. And I hope to see you all next Tuesday, that we'll be allowed to be back together. I'm going to